When I look at the way things go for the Brown, right? When I look at how things move, this whole thing reminds me about the way life moves in stories. Some of you might be young enough to not know what the Wizard of Oz. Some of you definitely don't even know what the Wiz. Shout out to the Wiz. It's kind of crazy. But the Wizard of Oz obviously is, one of those stories and tales that we've learned from childhood. And it's a classic story. It's a classic movie. It has Americana put all over it. And the thing about the Wizard of Oz is it talks about life. A lot of people don't think the Wizard of Oz is a story that is built on any reality. They think it's just a nice fictional story. But a lot of people don't understand is when you look at behind some of the themes of the Wizard of Oz, you can see throughout the process that they're talking actually about life that was promulgating back then during the time of the movie in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. It was given a social commentary on what life in America was like. And I started to think about the Wizard of Oz and how everybody wants to get to the promised land. You're going to follow the yellow brick road to see the magical wizard that's going to change everything. You're looking for the magical wizard. But then Dorothy gets to the Emerald City. He goes and meets the all-powerful Oz. And then turns out, behind the scenes, the wizard wasn't nothing but a feeble, old, scared, disillusioned, fake narrative guru. And she realized that the power to change your life and the power to think on your own and the power to go out and control your own destiny lies within you, not some mythical wizard on a magical path. And if you look at this and you take a look as we talk about this, I noticed that there was a lot of analogies that really work here. When you dive into the meaning and the allegorical layer of the Wizard of Oz, it's far more than a whimsical story. It's a rich tapestry of symbolisms that reflect economic, political, and social issues of its time. Let's take a look at the yellow brick road. The yellow brick road represents the path to prosperity and success. But what does it lead to? Gold. In the late 19th century, gold standard was a hotly debated economic policy. It tied the value of currency, allowing people to exchange paper money for fixed amounts of gold. Dorothy's journey along the yellow brick road mirrors the quest for financial stability and the allure of gold. I take a look at the yellow brick road as an allegory to finding the quarterback. The yellow brick road is your culture. We need to change the culture. We need to draft this guy. We need to follow this guy. We need to follow if you believe that they should take this guy at this. It's your road. It's a mythical narrative phrase that says, if you do X, Y, and Z, a mythical quarterback will come in and save you. It's no different than somebody saying, follow the yellow brick road and you'll become rich and all your dreams will come true. No. Following the yellow brick road in the draft to go get a quarterback does not make your dreams come true. You take into consideration, what do you need to do to develop a quarterback? It's a myth. And you notice they use the draft and they talk into it as if it is a fairy tale. It's a fairy tale end-all be-all. We'll get our mythical shining quarterback, and this is the path to do it. The straw man. The character known as the straw man embodies the concept of the legal fiction. Here's a creation of the federal government bearing the same name as your birth certificate. Just like the straw man in legal proceedings, he lacks true existence, no breath of life. Instead of a brain, he receives a certificate, a legal status bestowed upon him. That sounds a lot like the media. The media is the straw man. I go back and paint the picture. Remember what I said a couple of minutes ago. I said the media is the only place that you can go that you don't have to have any sort of real knowledge, passion, creativity, or even a background to actually be part of. As a matter of fact, the status is bestowed that upon by outlets. I say you're important because I told you you were. I say you're important because I gave you the right to write about it. I say you're important because I put you on the platform. But if you look at it, those characteristics aren't earned, right? Just like a straw man in a legal proceeding, it lacks true existence, no breath of life, and instead of a brain, it receives a certificate or a stamp of approval. The Tin Man. The Tin Man represents the dehumanizing effects of industrialized and mechanization. He works tirelessly, devoid of a heart or soul. His body seizes up, mirroring the soulless of a heartless system. The taxpayer number, TIN, a code numerical identifier, parallels the tin man's lack of humanity. His masters keep him cold and emotionless, much like the modern worker, numbed by routine and technology. This is the athlete. Remember, as I go back before, remember this. Rewind it if you didn't get to this part. We talk about people saying, oh, well, Shedeur has an opportunity now. Who cares what we said about him before? All that matters is he should be happy to have a conversation and be in the contention right now. This is the Tin Man is the allegory or the concept of the modern day athlete. The modern day athlete is seen as a machine, as an entertainment tool, as someone that does not have feelings, as somebody that don't have an opportunity to speak. It's the quintessential shut up and dribble. His masters keep him cold and emotionless. That's the way they want you, cold and emotionless. We don't care what you do. We get to write what we want, and you're going to go out and perform because you are a product, not a person or project. Let's continue on. I know this may be too deep for some people. I get it. Some people say, this dude is wasting my time talking about the Wizard of Oz, but I'm just showing you that these things and these tropes and narratives have been here as tale as old as time. The cowardly lion symbolizes fear and inability to stand up for himself. He's a bully, a big mouth, but ultimately too frightened to assert his true power. His journey mirrors the struggle to overcome fear and find courage. In a broader context, the lion represents the American populace, often afraid to challenge authority and question it. You can't get that. Your whole perspective is whack. The cowardly lion symbolizes the public who has been forced to sit here and feed and take this stuff. They don't question authority. They don't question the sources. They don't question, they digest, take it, and move along. It's the exact same reason somebody can say an unnamed source is more credible than a person who said it out their face that's on record about it, that played. But until today, we were too scared to say it. You better not talk about politics. You're getting too big for your britches. You know you're only one of them. We only let a couple of you in. Don't get beside yourself. We judge the narrative. The cowardly lion is the allegory for the public. In a broader context, the lion represents the American populace, often afraid to challenge authority or question the system. And that is today, boys and girls, is what we are doing, questioning the system. Sound familiar? Let's continue on. This is the biggest part. The wizard, the enigmatic Wizard of Oz, embodies political leadership. He's a charlatan, much like a president of the United States. His illusion of power is shattered when Dorothy exposes him. Behind the curtain, he's just a showman manipulating levers, using tricks to maintain control. Sound familiar? The wizard's balloon beyond his control hints at the fragility of authority. As you see, they keep sitting here. Puppet masters. The wizard behind the string be making people dance. And until you get the NFL to sign off on anything, you know what the syndicate is about. Are you telling me that they can sit around and systematically tell you whether or not you're going to be, they're going to get in the room and just collude? Yeah, they sure did. Ask Colin Kaepernick. Sure did. See, there's a thing called the internet. We understand that actually literally happened. So you can't use that plausible deniability here. But the problem for you guys is you believe that your authority was going to still stay intact after the ruse was up. After we pulled the curtain off and understood that there is no Oz. These culture wars that you guys are having are make-believe. These little points that you got that you talking, they're make-believe. You don't even believe it. You're behind the scenes pulling triggers and levers, making people think that the wizard is some big bad bully. And you, no. See, the problem is when people actually start telling the truth and people actually start to wake up, and when you actually start talking about the stuff that they tell you not to talk about, you become threatening. When you finally start talking about the stuff that people want you to not talk about, or look over there, there's a bright flamingo pic. No. We're going to stay right on task here. We're going to stay right on task. And a lot of you is not mad that you arguing back and forth. Is you mad that people had the nerve, the audacity to call you because you started to believe your own hype? In summary, The Wizard of Oz isn't merely a child's story. It's a subversive commentary on the world around us. As Dorothy seeks the way back to Kansas, we're reminded that the true power lies with us, not in the illusion created by those behind the curtain. So let's click our heels and remember, there's no place like home, and there's no wisdom like seeing through the smoke and mirrors of our own Oz-like institutions. And that is the rest of the story. As you can see, scary thing about it is, it ain't scary. It's actually not very scary at all when you actually put the context to it. When you are able to tell people and you're able to see, this is why this is going. It's happened in every walk of life. This right here is something that's been going on since the beginning of time. And it will continue to go on because this is it. We are on the yellow brick road. We are on a yellow brick road. But what you got to start realizing is, if we done already unmasked the wizard as a fraud, let's stop being confused as to why he continues to be a fraud. If you know the wizard is not the wizard and he's some strange old dude behind the curtain doing a bunch of extra stuff, why are you still acting shocked every time he comes out and he's fraudulent? Stop having to learn the lesson. Stop having to get it. Because the escalation is only going to happen. I told you from Jump Street, Shedeur Sanders versus Deshaun Watson. I said they're going to all of a sudden in a minute, Deshaun Watson going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. But let me show you what they were saying about Deshaun Watson before Shedeur Sanders got here. Let me give you that. They're like, dang, G. Bush, I didn't know they was that brutal. Yeah, it's divide and conquer. It's coming. You're going to have to pick a side. But the Cleveland Browns had already stepped in front of that. Remember when I said, why is it crazy that nobody's heard our interview from Deshaun Watson? It's because that's by plan. When you give the least amount of information that you need to give, it leaves room for interpretation. And when you don't have the critical thinking skills to interpret correctly, it's the secret weapon. When there's no information out there, you're left to your own devices. Why do you think at a certain period of time, you say, I got a son, I don't know what age I'm gonna start leaving him at home by himself. It's a sweet spot, right? You don't want him to be old enough and smart enough to be like, well, my mom left. I'm about to have all kind of girls in the house and I'm gonna throw a party. That's too devious. You don't want him young enough to be like, my mom's gone. I wonder what this socket does over here and whether I can just, I want him to get on. I'm gonna make myself a meal and turn the stove on. You're like, that's way too young. You want a nice little sweet spot where it's like, they're not corrupted enough to be old to be doing devious stuff, but they're not young enough to be doing silly stuff that's going to really put them in danger. You want them to be like 14. It's like when you're 14, you're not really about to, you're not really about to do nothing crazy. I guess you could sit there and do a bunch of stuff, but you're not going to burn down the house, so you're probably not going to have no girls at the house. But what you do is you want to find a nice little sweet spot. And what the Cleveland Browns have done is find a nice little sweet spot of giving them some nice conversation and little tidbits and debunking everything that they said. But at the same time, not giving you enough for you to formulate any solid opinion. And then when they do that, they then look at you when you come out with this content and then you unmask yourself. That's the cold part about it. We don't need to unmask the wizard. If you let people talk long enough, they'll unmask themselves. Start to tell you what they think about you. Let some awkward silence be there for about 3 seconds. Ask a person a question and then just sit there. Human nature and the mind tells you, I got to fill that space with something. And pretty soon they'll tell you exactly what they're thinking. When the Cleveland Browns are silent and tells you, I don't know what they're going to do, and you have no case, now you're going to have to tell how you feel. Or you out yourself that you don't know what you're talking. Maybe I don't know, man. I just try to give you like a little quick thought process of what it was, Sorry, I don't. I'm just throwing it out there. Let's get to these super chats. Let's get to them. Thelmo Fudd, Dog Pound, Go Browns. We appreciate you, Selmo. We appreciate you. And what's so crazy is I feel like every day I come back and we come back together and we conglomerate and we talk. Like I feel like the more we educate people about how things move and work, there's less and less people that crash out. There are more and more people that are interested in actually talking about football and wanting to see football. And sometimes you have to do this before, and I'm not using this specifically, but Cesar Milan, shout out to him. He always talks about breaking the cycle in your head. A lot of times he talks about, there are certain things that can trigger dogs because it's instantaneous, right? So a lot of times as humans, we still have those things too. It's just human nature. So when something happens and it triggers you, it puts you in a whole nother situation where you're not even thinking rationally, you're just reacting. And that's the part that I want to get to is let me show y'all why they be doing this. And then so now when we get to the football, there won't be you gonna know it, because what I'm setting you up for is you got to understand the scrutiny today, but the scrutiny tomorrow is going to be even greater. When camp starts, that's going to be all out, knock down, drag out. Remember what I'm telling you today on April 4th. Just let you know I told you. Please be prepared for it. When that training camp comes, it is going to be the biggest story in the NFL. Let me say it again. When training camp starts right after this draft, the Cleveland Browns will be the biggest story in sports. The storyline creates itself. John Watson, the allegations, can he play again? The contract, what does he say? How is he talking? What is his health like? What does he think about Stefanski? What's your relationship with Deshaun? What's your relationship with Shedeur? How do you guys go back and forth? What's going on in the quarterback room? Todd Monken, new coach. What's going on with Shedeur? Do you think it is the biggest story in the NFL? And what you got to realize is, how are you going to navigate the articles, and how are you going to navigate the fodder? Because if it was crazy before and Shedeur Sanders was not the number one quarterback, what do you think it's going to be like when he comes out in that first huddle? What do you think it's going to be like when he comes out in that first huddle? And I go to camp. Let me just tell you something. Shedeur Sanders as the number one quarterback in camp will sell a camp out. It will sell a camp out. He was already rock star status when it was last year and he was throwing the trash cans. It's going to be a line out the national news, local news, all the news. So what you need to understand is how the game works, how it's going down, and what you can do to disseminate what's going to come down the pipeline. Because I'm going to tell you what, it's going to be box office. And you got Dylan Gabriel in the room? You know the question's coming. Hey, do you think you got a fair shot? What's your relationship? Boy, this going to be crazy. And if you want the fresh cut on it, holla at your boy G. Bush. I'm going to be at camp. I was at camp last year. Because trust me, you know the tracker coming back. You know the quarterback tracker coming back. So if you want to keep that, you want to know what's really going on, really locked in, hit me up. Become a member, because we're going to be breaking it down. We will be doing, I'm going to just let y'all know this right now. The days that we will be going to camp, we're going to be doing lives afterwards. So I'm going to be able to come in and give you exactly what it is. Nope. Not even. I was there at camp today. What did you say? Oh, yeah, yeah, I thought Shedeur had a terrible day today. Sean was terrible. Dylan was cooking. No. I was there. So that's how we're going to get it. Beautifully blessed. Thank you so much for donating 5 Garrett Bush memberships in the Barbershop. We appreciate you as well. Desmond Johnson, Old Cleveland Media, mad because they know things are changing. And the access they used to have, you can tell is not the same. Some things will never change. That access is a funny thing. But the game always changed, though. You got to be willing to. And here's the thing. For the most part, that's what they're doing. That was also an undercover, sneaky part of what we was talking about today. Today, we really talked about, hey, look, a lot of people that are journalists are now have to get used to being in this opinion space. They have to get used to being in a space where people are like, and I said this before. I said, why is it that all of these people is upset about what other people are saying and pushing back to them? I've always given an example of why are you so angry and upset that somebody is a Shedeur Sanders fan and they going at you and saying different things? It's to a point where I feel like y'all almost outraged. Like, I can't believe this is happening. Y'all emotional about it. And I asked myself, I don't even notice them people. I'm sure there's people in the chat right now that be trolling. I don't acknowledge them. Hey, welcome on in. Hit the like button. But why y'all going taking this? And then it dawned on me. This is new to a lot of them. This is completely, think about it. This is completely new. Before, guys on the internet are used to it. I've been doing this since 2010 on the internet. So comment sections and interaction on places like that, that's always been there. UCSS just came around. 92.3 The Fan just came around on the internet. ESPN Cleveland just came around on the internet. They haven't been there live streaming nothing. The streamers were the dudes that was live streaming. They may put some clips up. A lot of them didn't even invest it. I mean, I went to them a hand over fist saying, guys, why don't we have cameras in the studio? This is like 2012. So a lot of people just now is getting to that point where now they're seeing it, but they're not used to that. So I get why like they're confused that like, why are people doing? I'm like, bro, this is the internet. That's what happens. Anthony Fear. He says UCSS is unbearable without us. Jay and Dustin are so disingenuous. It's all about wins unless your quarterback who has the most wins. Now it's equal reps. Look, I always say it, bro. The one thing I pride myself on is, and I can only speak for myself, I pride myself on being able to have a show and be an entertainer. That's what I pride myself on. So wherever I'm at, my job is to deliver entertainment value. And sometimes when you deal in entertainment value, you got to think of it in multiple layers. Some days, and this is how I think, and I'm going to give you a little bit of insight. Some days, if I come to the show, in real time, I'm trying to diagnose what the show needs. Some days I might need to be funny. Some days I might need to be lighthearted. Some days I might need to stand on business and be like, no, we're not about to do that today. Some days I might need to have me like a skit. Some days I might need to get people involved that be on the panel that may not be talkative. I noticed like, oh, you ain't said nothing. So I got to ask you a question. I might even be a lead host. So for me, in the entertainment game, it's all about what you need to bring to the table, right? It's entertainment. And the best part of what UCSS is, and I think, and I always tell people is, I don't want to lose that level of what makes it special, is what makes it special is this. And what makes it viral is this, is that you got people that are unscripted. The topics are not, the topics that we talk about is topics that everybody else can't talk about. And you're going to see people from different walks of life, different places, different ideologies, different socioeconomic backgrounds that is up there talking about real topics and getting to it. What they don't understand is, and this is for an overarching theme, for everybody this big picture. Ain't nobody trying to see no stuffiness, man. And this don't really got nothing to do with UCSS, like, at all. It has to do with the overarching theme. The way viewers are consuming things are different. People want authenticity. We don't care how many big words you gonna say. We don't care, this a new day. We don't care nothing about what you thought was the standard of how you deliver. Ain't nobody trying to hear that. What the article we read today. We'll put it back up for you. This is truthful. In some instances, social media influencers have greater audience trust levels than established mastheads. Media news trust varies by brand. But in a world troubled with misinformation, overall trust in Australia's media sits at a worrying 40%. Global trends show worry signs in the legacy media, right? In Britain, data released by a media regulator showed a generational shift, with more people getting their news from online than TV for the first time since the 60s. If you want to get content, make it impactful, you better be real. Because people see fake from a mile away. They see fake from a mile away. Coming up, we have the draft party popping. We will have a draft party live. So hang out with G. Bush. We will be going through all the picks in the first round right here on the Barbershop. Make sure you understand where you're going to be at and continue to support the channel. We will get your birthday shirt out to you guys as well. And we definitely appreciate you. And with that being said, you never know what G. Bush might show up. Radio, television, internet, but if you want the fresh cut on sports, you know what it is. I keep the Clippers with me. Have a great rest of your evening. And as always, you know how we give it up. Hashtag New Cleveland, Kool-Aid Mafia for life. And as always, go Browns.